stocks have been lagging the broader market so far this year. The S&P Tech Index rising just 1.1% compared to a 4% increase for the S&P 500. So will the underperformance continue, or are better times ahead for tech? We'll know more after Intel, Yahoo, and IBM all report earnings today after the closing bell. Don't forget, too, we've got Apple results coming our way tomorrow. So while we wait, let's get the outlook from Bloomberg Best Tech Fund Manager Walter Price. He is a portfolio manager at RCM Capital Management, which runs the Wells Fargo Advantage Specialized Technology Fund, which has a great 5-year track record in the top 13% in those 5 years. Walter, good to have you here with Matt and myself. So technology has been lagging the S&P. Is that going to continue in your view?
I think it could continue for another several months because of the effect of the Japanese earthquake and the effect on tech as a result of that, both on Japanese customers and Japanese suppliers.
We saw that, Walter, come through in Texas Instruments report. Which tech companies do you expect to be hit the hardest? I mean, is it going to be the hardware guys because of the supply chain management problems?
Well, I think the logical viewpoint is it's going to be the hardware guys and the semiconductor guys because of the components availability. But I also think, you know, Japan's an important market for a lot of the software companies and systems companies, so those will be impacted as well.
Does that include Yahoo, IBM, and Intel? I know you own actually Yahoo and IBM. I mean, are we going to see that in the results this afternoon, do you think?
A little effect on IBM. Yahoo owns Yahoo Japan, so that's a consolidated operation, but I don't think it's going to be much affected. Most of their business is domestic, and then Intel will be affected also.
Intel, you think will be hit the hardest of the three. Will it be similar? I mean, can we draw conclusions from Texas Instruments that will come through in Intel, in Qualcomm as well? I mean, in these chip makers?
Yeah, I think the chip makers that make, particularly the PC guys, the cell phone guys, Japan's a big market, and Japan for the last several weeks has been very slow. So they're going to see their sales be slower, and they're going to have to guide to slower sales as well.
Why this? You know, we've seen this before where tech seems to be the darling of fund managers. Everybody loves it. Everybody comes on the show and talks about it, but it doesn't outperform the market. And of course, the big quality names that people also talk about rotating into. Does it happen and they're just such big companies that you can't see the effect, or why don't we see the performance?
Well, I think there's a big change going on in tech to more efficiency, and that's having a negative effect on some of the big tech companies. So they're seeing their markets slow down quite a bit, and so they're becoming more mature companies. And I think investors are trying to figure out when they start to grow again and how long the transition period is going to be.
Walter, we mentioned that you own Yahoo and IBM. You don't own Intel. You no longer own it. You did own it. Why don't you own it?
Well, I think they're subject to this transition period. You know, you see the birth of tablet computers, and we think that people are going to use tablet computers and products like that to consume media, and that's a preferred product to the PC for a lot of the new users. And so and that doesn't use an Intel processor, and I think until Intel gets their processor in some tablets, you know, I think the stock's going to struggle.
You mentioned that Apple reporting tomorrow. It's your biggest holding. I know ever since I got the iPad at home, I have shunned my laptop. Are you going to see that come through in the results for Apple? And if you do, will it be outdone by the Japan effect here?
Yeah, I think Apple doesn't sell a lot to Japan, so and their supply chain seems to be okay for this quarter, so I think they're going to have a terrific quarter tomorrow.
Is the iPad going to play a huge part in this?
I think the iPad's going to play a huge part in the second quarter. They were supply constrained in the first quarter. You know, we know about the lines and the availability issues, so I think it's going to be more available in the second quarter and will be more of a positive impact in the second quarter.
I mean, Apple is your top holding, Walter. I mean, what is it, though, that, if anything, kind of worries you about this name, or do you feel like it's just firing on all cylinders?
Well, I think near term, the thing that worries me is this rebalancing of the index, because Apple's a huge part of the QQQ or the NASDAQ 100, and that rebalancing is going to have some negative effect on the stock. But I think the fundamentals at Apple are really strong.
Hey, Walter, thanks so much setting us up for what is really a big tech day on earnings here. And tomorrow, of course, it'll continue as earnings season really ramps up. Walter Price there from RCM Capital Management.